Okay, I'm exploring every scientifically verified Eucharistic miracle, and later I'll show how one detail found in every single study even connects to the Shroud of Turin. The first Eucharistic miracle ever recorded happened in Lanciano, Italy in the early 700s. At a monastery in the town, there was a priest who doubted that the bread and wine could actually become Jesus' body and blood. One day, he was celebrating Mass, and at the moment of consecration, as the priest said, "This is my body, this is my blood," the host in his fingers visibly turned into living flesh, and the wine into fresh blood. Now granted, that's an old story, a really old story, and it could easily be dismissed as a myth with no evidence. Except that the circular piece of flesh and the blood, which had formed into 5 distinct clots, was preserved in a monstrance for over 1,000 years. And in 1970, this guy took it out and studied it. Dr. Edoardo Linoli, a pathologist and chemist, conducted a full clinical study under laboratory conditions, assisted by Dr. Ruggero Bertelli of the University of Siena. Their findings were staggering. The flesh was human cardiac muscle from the myocardium, the left ventricle of the heart, and the blood type was AB positive. Remember that detail because it's important for seeing how the evidence from all of these Eucharistic miracles comes together. What's even crazier is that the proteins, minerals, and ratios in the blood were consistent with fresh human blood, despite being kept in an unsealed container for 1,200 years. The samples also contained no preservatives and showed no sign of corruption. Furthermore, Linoli concluded that only a skilled anatomist could extract such a perfect circular cut from a human heart, a feat inconceivable in the 8th century. Today, the relics are preserved in that same monstrance above the high altar of the Church of St. Francis, where the flesh still retains a natural rosy hue when illuminated by light. Now, while this study was conducted under strict scientific criteria, I guess a skeptic could accuse the scientists of lying. I mean, after all, Linoli knew he was studying a supposed miracle, and he himself was Catholic. That obviously doesn't disprove this miracle, but if you are skeptical, wait until you see this next Eucharistic miracle. This one didn't happen in the distant past. It happened just 30 years ago in Buenos Aires, Argentina. In the early 1990s, several mysterious events involving the Eucharist were reported at St. Mary's Parish in Buenos Aires. After Mass one evening, a dirty, discarded host was found in the back of the church. Following church protocol, the local pastor placed it in water and locked it in the tabernacle to dissolve. Here's what a Eucharistic host that's been sitting in water for 2 days looks like. Unconsecrated hosts, just to be clear. But when Father Alejandro, the pastor at St. Mary's, went to check on the host just a few days later, this is what he found. It had transformed into what appeared to be bloody flesh. He immediately alerted the Archbishop, who ordered this photograph to be taken. And by the way, the Archbishop of Buenos Aires at the time was His Excellence Jorge Bergoglio, the future Pope Francis. Years later, he commissioned neuroscientist Dr. Ricardo Castellón Gomez, a staunch atheist, to lead a rigorous scientific investigation. Samples were sent anonymously to laboratories around the world. One expert, Dr. Frederic Zugibe, a pathologist and cardiologist from Columbia University, reported that the samples he received were human cardiac tissue from the left ventricle. And not just human heart tissue, but living human heart tissue.
Those are the nuclei, and they're definitely in a good state of preservation.
From an individual under extreme stress, as if he had been beaten or was suffocating. Now, that might seem really strange at first, but it actually makes perfect sense with what we as Catholics understand to be true about the Eucharist. More on that before the end of the video. Again, the blood type was identified as AB positive. Now, not only is AB positive blood one of the rarest blood types in the world, less than 4% of people have it, but every single Eucharistic miracle ever studied has contained AB positive blood. And not only that, but a 2024 study of the Shroud of Turin, which for many faithful basically confirmed it as Jesus' actual burial cloth, showed that it had been stained with AB positive blood. Now remember, Dr. Zugibe didn't know anything about this sample when he received it. He conducted his studies completely anonymously. And when he found out that it had been taken from a consecrated Eucharistic host, he fell silent and then simply stated, "This heart was alive at the moment the sample was taken."
You know, I've written over 100 papers of cardiology. The heart is one area that I know. This is my business.
If you're skeptical, remember this study was conducted completely anonymously and was led by a staunch atheist. But his investigations into Eucharistic miracles doesn't end there, and it would eventually change his life. But to see that, we have to fast forward a little bit. Just 10 years later, at a parish retreat in Tixla, Mexico, 2 priests and a nun were distributing Holy Communion when something extraordinary happened. The nun, serving as an extraordinary minister, turned toward the priest beside her, tears in her eyes.